Attention, the following broadcast has been approved by Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi guys, Mugen Ross here, and we are now doing something very different. This is the first episode of AEW in a week. I'm going to be reviewing Dynamite, Collision, and a couple of little bits of Rampage. This week we are doing the Dynamite and Collision that built from just after All In going into All Out. All Out has now happened. If you guys want a review of All Out, put it in the comments of this video and I'm more than happy to review All Out on a later date as well. But let's get right into it because there is a lot to cover here. So with Dynamite we opened the show of Jon Moxley, but he didn't have the same standard pep in his step. There's like a chip on his shoulder as he's walking out from the loss from Stadium Stampede. He has still got some battle wounds and everything in that scenario as well. He's going against Commander. Commander has kind of more of the aggression in this match, kind of more of a revengeful side to him, because Rey Fenix was one of Commander's trainers and also was the inspiration to make Commander a luchador. And due to Jon Moxley putting Rey Fenix out and injuring him, Commander wanted to get revenge. The match was great. We had some really awesome spots. There was some interesting angles. They looked like where Moxley hit an headbutt, which either splitted Commander's lip or eye. He started bleeding. Moxley was bleeding from the side of his ear as well. Some awesome spots where Commander did a run across the rope, 450 splash, but Moxley had his knees up blocking it. We see the aggression between all of them. I'm just looking at some of my notes here as well. So if you see me turning my head, it's just double checking I am being correct with what I said. But yeah, when that 450 splash happened, Moxley got his knees up and he quickly turned this into a pile driver, the hammer and anvil elbow kind of strikes that he does, and he goes straight into a Kimura, then into his arm. It seems like an armbar submission. They have like a specific name for it. It's like a jiu-jitsu name. I'm not too sure how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to. But anyway, Jon Moxley is very much submission finisher is what he lands on Commander for the 1-2-3 count. We then get this transition into Orange Cassidy with video package. Very much more aggression to Cassidy, showing how he is now a fighting champion. This belt means more than anything to him. He's Orange Cassidy and he isn't the same Orange Cassidy he was 4 years ago. The meaning behind this video is because Orange Cassidy will be defending his belt at All Out, either against Moxley, or if he loses tonight on Dynamite, he will not be defending it. It will be Penta defending it against Moxley at All Out. So it's do or die moment for Cassidy, and Cassidy has made it very clear he is not dropping this belt because he is Orange Cassidy and he is always going to be the international champion. And he sold it so believable. It was one of the biggest draws and interests me to watch Dynamite from this episode. We then go backstage having the Young Bucks and FTR having their conversation. This was straight after All In, about how they didn't shake hands and have the respect. Bullet Club Gold came out, kind of insulted them with being like, oh, you're the losers, so you need to super kick yourself out of here, which then leads into a match of FTR, Young Bucks versus Bullet Club Gold at All Out. I love this match. I love this booking. I love that it's straight after All In and the tensions are already high, and it's a will they, won't they, will they be good friends, or are they going to kind of distance each other in this match and have awkward tags in between each other, between FTR and the Young Bucks? We will see where the progression goes from here, but I'm awesome to see it. We also see the tension of the Outcasts from what happened with Toni Storm and Saraya in the match All In, which we knew was going to happen, but Toni Storm is now more frustrated, doesn't know who she can trust, starts saying Ruby doesn't like her, Saraya doesn't like her, and there's multiple scenarios going on there. To a point where Tony was like, I can't even trust my own shoes, and threw them at Renee. And I don't know if Renee was ready for them. I think Renee thought the shoes were just going to get near her, not actually hit her. But it made for television gold there. I thought that was one of the funniest things, and it drawed me in like, oh, damn, Tony is really losing it. She's really not handling this situation for her. We then get the Judas effect to intensify. The man, the myth, the legend, Chris Jericho walks out. Everyone's singing. Him talking about his all-in match, how it's a match he will never forget. He went to war with Ospreay and how he really enjoyed that match. But the one thing he wants to forget is how he treated Sammy Guevara at the end of it. He shouldn't have pushed Sammy Guevara, and he shouldn't have took his frustrations out on him, which I thought was very unique. I was like, okay, where is this going? Let's see where it progresses. He asked Sammy to come out, which Sammy obliged. They have a lot of back and forth, heated moments. Chris Jericho really gets into it at one point, being like, but I keep replaying the match. Maybe I should have zigged instead of sagged. Maybe you should have hit with the baseball bat harder than you did. And Sammy was like, say that last bit again. Maybe I should have zigged instead of zagged. And he was like, no, that last bit again. That maybe you could have hit with the bat harder. And he was like, oh yeah, but when I watched it back, you could have hit the Judas effect harder. And then you would have won. And him stating about like, so the game plan of like me helping you out, having your back, everything like that. I left my like pregnant fiance all the way in California to come fly down to London to have your back. And he was like, maybe if I wasn't focusing on you, instead of me being there at ringside, I would have been wrestling on the card. And they get back and forth into it, but then they struck up a deal of being like, why are we arguing like this? Let's reform as a tag team and go for the tag team titles. Is what we're known, is what we're good at, is working in the ring together and having each other's back. And I'm here for that. I think it was really cool to have that kind of situation. We then have another video package for Moxley, just talking about what's going on and that he isn't going to be playing games around Cassidy, and states it's all about the wrestlers with the biggest bite and just everything that's going on with Blackpool Combat Club. They're talking about how they're not gimmicky, they don't have these like unique finishers or like these special moves as people want to call it. They go in there to wrestle, and they wrestle to put people through their paces. When we have this, it goes straight into Eddie Kingston and Wheeler Yuta fighting for the New Japan Strong Belt. I thought this was a spectacular match. I loved everything we got to see for Eddie Kingston getting to defend that belt. So I feel like New Japan Strong is getting a lot more eyes on it, especially with the Eddie Kingston holding the belt, and it's nice to see that he got it defended on AEW. So I feel like they are definitely making sure Eddie Kingston has quite a few defenses, because that belt means a lot to him, especially with how he won it and the emotions he had when he did win it. I loved seeing that personally. But yeah, there were crazy spots. Eddie Kingston had bandages on his head. He ripped them off at one point to be like, I can't be arsed, they're covering my eyes. Yuta went the savage mode that Blackpool Combat Club has been teaching him and was trying to bite at it. The really interesting spot was the finish where Eddie Kingston lands his spinning backhand, which usually knocks people straight out. Like, not many people get up from this. Yuta surprisingly got up and goes, go on, hit me with another one. Kingston looks at him like, really? Spins and hits him with another one. Gets the 1-2-3 count. So I thought that was awesome. I was like, wow, Yuta really is getting this played into. He still gets back up. He's still willing to fight. He's still powering through these scenarios. But yeah, it was awesome to see. We transition into MJF and Adam Cole talking backstage after All In. MJF says, like, look, I love you like a brother. You've made me wrestle more than I have in the past 3 months, my entire career, but Daddy needs a break. You nearly broke my neck like 6 times out there. And then we're speaking about how, we've been told, there's going to be a battle royale on Rampage to decide who's going to fight us for the ROH tag belts. Oh, and there's also going to be a number 1 contenders tournament to who versus me at Grand Slam. Get your tickets now. So yeah, it was very interesting. MJF really played into that character, and Adam Cole's like, yeah, sure, no, you have that break. And then MJF's like, a week off, finally. And he's gone to France for his week off. He's gone to go eat a bagel, go see the French women. I guess he enjoyed his time. But yeah. Renee goes to speak with Sammy backstage, and I thought this was a unique spot as well, because Don Callis is trying to talk to him and get in his ear. Even brings up like, oh, Sammy, I heard you're pregnant. That's great news and that. Maybe if you speak with the Don Callis family, you can, We can really arrange and get you bigger money, bigger matches, bigger opportunities. We know Chris Jericho's ego, but Sammy stops him in his tracks, like, yo, shut up. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, you touch me again, I will put you on your ass. And I thought that was really awesome just to see Sammy Guevara, like, straight up be like, I don't care for you, Don Callis. I never have. You're mainly the reason Jericho Appreciation Society is broke up. So why are you trying to even talk to me? I'm defending Chris, and I stated I'm defending Chris, which I think is awesome. I really enjoyed all of that. Probably, arguably, my favorite part of Dynamite was Adam Cole walking out, talking about the belts, how he's won it, they're going to defend it on Sunday, and doing his whole Adam Cole story time to Roderick Strong and the Kingdom come out. Roderick Strong hits a great line of, oh, so MJF's neck's banged up and you care more about that than your best friend's neck being injured this whole time I've been here? And him just getting pissed off about it. Adam Cole's like, oh, I don't know what's gotten into you. You're not the same friend I had. I don't know if it's you're listening to these guys, pointing at the Kingdom. And then you get Mike Bennett explodes. He's like, these guys, acting like you don't even know us. Like, it's time, like, story time with me, and it talks about their first ever match, Mike Bennett and Adam Cole, how young they were, how they got signed in Ring of Honor, and how much tension there was, and stated how Adam Cole was a leech. He used the Kingdom to get him built up in Ring of Honor to be one of the biggest stars in Ring of Honor and get the Ring of Honor Championship. Then you hop ship and join the Bullet Club to get that merchandise money to stack your wallet. Oh, and then you went to Florida with all of our friends because the Undisputed Era was all Ring of Honor former people. And I thought that was a beautiful line. They really hit home with that. Even though they didn't say Undisputed Era, the fans knew where they were getting at. And then they were like, oh, and now you're leeching off this corny guy, MJF, so you think it's your into the AEW World title. You use people. And he was like, oh, I bet when you look at photos of the past, all you can see is yourself because that's all you think about. To Adam Cole goes to speak. Roderick cuts him off and goes, I'm entering this Grand Slam, so I get a chance at MJF, and I'm going to do what you couldn't do. Doesn't matter if my neck is not at 100%, even though you're trying to act like you care now about that, because I don't need some fancy gimmicks, a diamond ring, and a double clothesline, because I'm a wrestling legend. And it just solidified Roderick Strong. They built Roderick Strong now how I wanted him to be built when he had those NXT time and that time with Diamond Mine after he left Undisputed Era. They didn't really give him enough mic time. They didn't really give him enough interesting time to be more of an emotional side of a character and that side of Roderick. And they're really playing into it in AEW. So I think this is perfect. And it's really built into a unique story where I think, honestly, I could see Roderick Strong versus MJF happen. And then Adam Cole really picks what, like, friend to choose and where his loyalty lies. And I think it's going to be one of the most unique storytelling going forward in the next few AEW Dynamites and Collision. We then have Penta State to Cassidy in this short video package. Let me get my words out there. That this is only business. It's nothing wrong against you. You're just a stepping stone in the way of Moxley. But Moxley, you hurt my brother, and I'm going to make you bleed like you have never bled before. Building this feud up of the main event of the night of Pentaverse Cassidy, and what a match that was, and we will get into that very shortly. We have the trios action, Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida, and Britt Baker. You see the tension of Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker still, but they still fist bump. They still seem cool with each other. Interesting notes in this match was getting to have Emi Sakura and Nyla Rose back on the main Dynamite television screen. I was very happy about that. We haven't saw them in a while, wrestling especially in the women's division. So awesome to see them. Awesome seeing them be used more. You have also the interesting spots where Hikaru Shida nearly hits Britt. So are they teasing a Hikaru turn onto Britt? We'll see where that progresses. But either way, unique match. Statlander does Statlander things, beats all three women, does one of the coolest things on Maria Shafir, hits the Wednesday Night Fever for the 1-2-3 pin. As TBS champion, I expected that, especially with a match that she's got on All Out going against Ruby Soho. Speaking of that, Ruby Soho jumps her after the match. Very quick, takes the belt, flexes the fact of, oh, this is going to be mine at All Out and everything, getting in Chris Statlander's head. We then get another video package, Don Callis showing Takeshita all of Kenny's surgery x-rays, like very personal things that Don Callis, as a family member to Kenny, being like Uncle Don, would know these because he was there for Kenny for all the surgeries and being like, target this place, target that injury, this is what we do, and if we don't, we have plan C, which is stabbing with the screwdriver. And Takeshita just gets this very evil, maniacal smile and speaks in Japanese, and it sounds like he is definitely ready to be willing to stab Kenny Omega and get that win. So, yeah, I'm all here for this feud. I think it's been built perfectly on that. We have the Acclaim doing their celebration. Not much to really talk about here other than brand new belt designs and a funny little spot of... Max Caster pulls out some small scissors and Billy Gunn is like, oh, you've got small ones. How about we use my big one? And he pulls out giant scissors to cut them. Really cool thing with the belts being custom designed. They have a pink strap and they have a scissor design on them where there's a little slit in them so that the belts can scissor. They also said it's a new era. It is the House of Ass because they won against the House of Black. I thought this was great. Very funny. And I'm already really enjoying what they're doing with the trios bout. If it's anything like their tag team title run, as long as they get good builds and good feuds from it, like they did until the end of their tag belt reign, I'm fully here for this, and I think it's going to be a great time. Also, Billy Gunn is fully back. He was retired for like a day. They basically reaffirmed him to wrestle again. We now go to the main event. Orange Cassidy and Penta El Zero Miedo. Match was phenomenal. Spot after spot. Really showed that Cassidy is hurt, but he's going through his pace and he's going to make sure he can do it. Insane Canadian Destroyer after Canadian Destroyer spot. I know a lot of people didn't like it on Twitter. Me personally, I thought it was one of the cooler spots of the match. It just looked awesome. And you can no-sell a Canadian Destroyer. I took it as they were just using each other's momentum and they rolled forward into the next one, being like, yes, I'm hurting, but I'm going to hurt you 10 times worse in that quick moment. But yeah, I thought these were some really cool spots. There was a nasty spot where Penta literally power lifts Cassidy up and throws him into the barricade, and I don't know which hit first. Was it the shoulder or the neck? But he looked like he got massive, like Cassidy got massive whiplash there. He still gets the win with a really shock roll up from what was he made in Japan, which he kicked out of. Cassidy did a beach break, and then straight after that, Penta hits a Fear Factor, and then Cassidy did that surprise roll up. So amazing spot after spot after spot, going straight into that. Cassidy getting the 1-2-3 win. Cassidy asks for a chair, sits down and grabs a mic, and I was so happy to just see an in-ring promo from Cassidy because we've never really had that, and he even said that I don't do this. I don't usually talk on a mic, but he stated, I'm the international champion. I will defend it. This means everything to me. And my name is Orange Cassidy, and I don't have a catchphrase. Playing back into Moxley saying about how everyone has fancy gimmicks and these catchphrases, and that's not what they're all about. But yeah, amazing Dynamite. We now go into a quick shout out to Rampage. It was a pretty damn solid show. I enjoyed the Battle Royale. Dark Order coming on top to fight Adam Cole and MJF, better than you, baby. So I think that match is going to be really awesome. Anna Jay and Taya Valkyrie tag teaming as well was super dope. I would love to see more of them do that more often. And Taya Valkyrie is actually being used quite well in AEW, in my personal opinion. We now go to the giant controversy of wrestling news, and if you follow Dirt Sheets, if you follow most of the Outcasted lot on their TikTok pages and everything like that, we have all talked about this. Phil Brooks, CM Punk, was fired. Tony Khan made this decision. He didn't make it lightly. He even explained he felt his life was at being threatened, and he has been there and he's been going to wrestling for 30 years. Politics aside and my viewpoints aside of CM Punk, I don't think it'd be right to do that in the review, having it a biased opinion. It is saddening news because I wish there were more opportunities and more matches with CM Punk, but if it is what is felt is best for business, that is the way we go forward. Either way, we go into Collision. And I thought Collision still opened great. It has Ricky Starks coming out and still giving a great promo. He pops off and sells Big Bill as this great dude, saying like, "Dude, I love you from my heart. You've overcame so many beginnings, so many bad things, addiction, everything like that. And if you can overcome all these things, so can I. But I am sick and tired of having to rebuild myself. After every feud, I have to sell myself to show that I'm absolute. I'm Ricky Stark. I have to make everyone in the company constantly believe me." And he even states, "I didn't want to do this to Ricky Steamboat, but hopefully one day you'll see it through my eyes." And he still wants the strap match. Bryan Danielson gets to debut because Ricky Starks baits him. He was like, "Oh yeah, so here's a contract the old-fashioned way. So you want a match of Ricky Starks versus the Dragon?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, so quite a lot of people know me as Ricky Steamboat or Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. But there is also another dragon and someone else who is referred to as the Dragon." Time in, Bryan Danielson returns and debuts on Collision. I was so here for it. I was so happy. It was amazing. You even hear Ricky Starks on the mic go, "Oh shit." He knew what was going down, and it was the best way to open Collision. Probably one of the most hype moments in Collision for me personally. And I'm glad the all clear is with Bryan Danielson. But yeah, we also get a cool stare down between the two of them, and I was like, yeah, this will do. This is what we need. We then get Moxley doing a backstage promo, leading into All Out because we now know it's going to be Cassidy and Mox. They had a stare down towards each other to finish off Dynamite as well, but this promo was very different from Moxley. He was actually praising Cassidy and saying, like, so many people call Cassidy a cosplay wrestler. Who's he pretending to be? He's been himself this whole time. Cassidy shows up, defends. He's beat some of the best guys that can touch in that ring. And he also makes it very clear he's not going to be this technical wrestler that goes for, like, body parts or limbs. He's not going to go for the injured, like, back of your neck or your arm. He's going to attack at your soul, attack at your heart, your conditioning, seeing how much you want to fight in that ring and how far you're willing to go in that ring. And I just think that was amazing. I think that really built an awesome moment of where maybe Moxley's shown a little bit of respect that Cassidy can really go the mile now. And said a lot of people are believing in him, so don't disappoint, Cassidy. We then go to the trios match of Daniel Garcia, Daddy Magic, and Cool Hands against the Acclaim. The Acclaim already defending their belts, pointing to good use of being defending champions of the trios belt and breaking the new designs in. I thought this was awesome. Really fun spots here where Daniel Garcia do his little dance as Billy Gunn threw him to the corner turnbuckle, went to go for the chop. Daniel Garcia dodged it, did a little dance, same again, dodges, does another little dance, hits the socket towards Billy Gunn, and Billy Gunn goes, nah, smacks him across the jaw, making Daniel Garcia drop in Billy Gunn's crotch area, and Billy Gunn does the hip dance in front of him. Basically, leading to the whole socket joke, making Daniel Garcia look like he was sucking it. Sexual innuendos happen with the Acclaim far too often. But this was a really funny spot. I loved it. I thought it was comedy gold. You even hear the commentators was like going, well, it wasn't an offer. So yeah, it was, it was great. Billy Gunn hit a really cool famouser, and then the Acclaim get the finish as well. It was a shame that Daddy Magic and Cool Hands didn't really get to show off a lot of the 2.0. I feel like Daniel Garcia was the main focus of that match, which makes sense because Daniel Garcia is the most over, other than Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara in Jericho Appreciation Society. But it is what it is. I hope they do some more. We also have the Dark Order talk about their match coming up now, and this was awesome because they bring up the BTE. They talk about how Adam Cole used to be their best friend and called him Budge, and even cooler, Alex Reynolds talks how he used to train MJF, for 7 years, and how he's now going to take the advice that he gave MJF because apparently now he's sick and tired of trying to be this good guy. MJF rebuttals this later on in the episode and rips him a new one of just being like, yeah, 7 years of bad habits because your advice sucked. So do you suck. You're nowhere near me. And then also rips into Johnny Hungy of just saying that, oh yeah, I didn't realize pieces of shit can be piled up that high. And says worse. Adam Cole goes, I'm not reading that. But we have the crowns up of Aussie Open having a really cool match against Nick Wayne and Commander. So hey, Commander gets more screen time. He both made AEW Dynamite and Collision this week, which is awesome because Commander is a great high flyer and deserves a lot more TV time. Nick Wayne's theme song's really grown on me as well. Like, I really like it. It's fun, especially now that I'm hearing more of it and not hearing Darby Allin's because he's walking out with Darby Allin. Great match. Shame Nick Wayne and Commander lost, but also it makes sense that they have because Aussie Open are an official tag team. They are a very strong tag team, arguably one of the most dominant, and I feel like this win is to put them back on the momentum of potentially going for some of those tag belts. And what I feel is they're not going to go for the Ring of Honor ones when they've already won the Ring of Honor ones. I feel they're going to be put straight into the AEW tag team title picture after this whole FTR Young Bucks scenario finishes. I feel like Aussie Open are going to be the next ones to kind of call out the Young Bucks, which I'm here for. If not those, Bullet Club Gold, of course, because that's what we're going to go into next, is that the feud was going on there. That we have the main event now lining up of Jay versus Dax Harwood, which we will speak about shortly. We have a scenario where Christian Cage comes out after Nick Wayne has a small interview after his match, says about his frustrations. He's frustrated Darby Allin forgave AR Fox. Darby Allin kind of calms Nick Wayne down, speaks about their past, says about he has regrettable things. He didn't talk to Nick Wayne's dad for like 3 years because they had a massive falling out, and he doesn't want to live with that regret because he wanted to amend it before Nick Wayne's dad passed, and he sadly couldn't. Because Darby Allin has a match with Luchasaurus, but Christian Cage is the voice for Luchasaurus. They walk out. He carries on this whole attack people that don't have fathers type gimmick he is now going with, and he's even in on the joke. Talked about how Nick Wayne's mum was there. He should have asked what Nick Wayne's mum was, but it doesn't matter. He'll just slide in the DMs. He was talking about how Luchasaurus is his monster, and they will absolutely destroy and massacre Darby Allin. Very choice wording. He goes, I, and then he quickly changes, we will be standing at the top of the mountain after the match. So, there we go. Very interesting wording, and I feel like that'll play out. The Outcasted having an interview backstage. Ruby talking about how they're now going to be duo champions. Saraya being the new women's champion. Ruby is going to get the TBS championship. A lot of questions keep asking about Tony, and they're like, yo, stop being a mean girl. Stop bringing it up. Stop bringing the tension. We don't want to talk about it. Let it go. So they don't really. I'm not really going to go into much into the Dennis Rodman part because I thought this wasn't really needed. It just built a very quick throwaway match All Out where Dennis Rodman and Jeff Jarrett were talking about their past history. Jeff Jarrett was like, you should join our group. Dennis Rodman didn't really say anything. Looked like he was going to fight, but then he couldn't really fight. Tried to rip his t-shirt. Couldn't really rip his t-shirt. He's a bit too old for this scenario now, in my opinion. Acclaim come out to help save Dennis Rodman. Be like, nah, you're ready to fight. We're ready to fight. Get your ass in the ring. Billy Gunn's like, no, I'm too old. I'm not fighting twice in one night. But we're not doing anything on Sunday. So let's have a match at All Out. So that match is booked. Dennis Rodman is ringside. We get a video package hyping up Shane Taylor versus Samoa Joe, and I think this will be the best match of All Out, personally. I think this whole feud needs more eyes on it. Big meaty man slapping meat, as the joke always goes, but honestly, like, Shane Taylor is such an incredible talent. I've loved his stuff in Ring of Honor. I love seeing the work he can do. He moves fast. He's got that charisma behind him. And going against someone like Samoa Joe, it's just going to be heavy hitting. It's going to be move after move. Just everyone get your eyes on that. If there's any match I would tell you to watch on the All Out card, it'd be Shane Taylor versus Samoa Joe. We then have Samoa Joe also throwing a promo in there straight after the video package, just saying he's going to give a reality check. He's going to be the one standing tall, not him being knocked out like Shane Taylor said he is going to do. He'll be the one standing across the ring, holding that belt high, being the true king of television still. We get that trios match of the Outcasts making their Collision debut, which was cool. Ruby and Saraya walk out first, and you see Tony quickly run after. Honourable mention things to say here was that Tony begged to get tagged in first. She started doing well, but then she took too long to wind up the hip toss. Chris Statlander got the revenge on it, got in a kick. Britt Baker took most of the damage in this match and was doing a lot of the selling of the heavy hitting from all of the girls in the Outcasts. You also had Hikaru Shida nearly hit Britt Baker again by accident. Britt Baker got sprayed in the eyes, and the Outcasts get the win. But Toni Storm also went to do a pin break to stop Chris Statlander getting a pin, and accidentally hit Saraya in that scenario. So once again, Toni Storm is still slipping up, accidentally hitting Saraya, and it's still building more and more tension between the group. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting match. It makes sense. Then we get something that agitates me with these type of things. I know you're building it to give it as a warm-up and there's more context to it, but you get Powerhouse Hobbs coming out with his really cool entrance to literally do 2 moves, get a win on some enhancement talent, to have Miro come out, and they have a scrap. Just save it for All Out, personally. You didn't need this additional extra bit of, oh, they want to fight early, they want to fight now. We know this. We knew they were going to be like that. You could have just had them scrap backstage in between an interview. You could have stopped one of the interviews with them fighting in the background and something like that. I just feel it was kind of a wasted spot on Collision where you could have gave a little bit more time to one of the other matches, in my eyes. We then get a special video package of the Kenny vs Takeshita build and how it is going to. We get the promo from Orange Cassidy talking high respects of Jon Moxley as well, saying when AEW was down, Jon Moxley put it on his back. Jon Moxley is the best wrestler, and this is going to be a difficult challenge, but he is still going to stay our international champion, and he will defend this because he is Orange Cassidy and he doesn't have a catchphrase. We landed to this main event that I mentioned of Jay White and Dax Harwood. This was an incredible match. I love both these talents. I'm a huge Dax Harwood guy. I'm a huge Jay White. They put on a clinic as always. Jay White playing into the mental games. Bullet Club Gold having fun. Really cool spot in this was actually with the whole group. Cash Wheeler standing there with one chair to the side and the Guns the other side standing with 2 chairs being like, if we're going to go full at it. And they were ready to swing chairs at each other. Really cool spot. On the outside, Jay White sneaks a DDT when they were all distracted. Throws Dax back in the ring. Dax tries to do this roll up. Jay reverses it into the Blade Runner out of nowhere. Gets a 3 count. Bullet Club Gold win. So it sets the tension up. And the drama going into All Out now that the champions that have the tag belts just lost to Bullet Club Gold. Then we quickly have the rest of Bullet Club Gold surround Cash Wheeler when he goes to check on Dax. Cash Wheeler looks at Jay, looks at the rest of the guys, go, well, you're the biggest guy, you're basically the leader, runs, jumps him, fights, and it's just a mugging. It's like the rest of Bullet Club Gold start fighting him and everything. And we get it. Young Bucks debut on Collision to help FTR. I feel like part of this booking was obviously because Punk is not there. Punk is not controlling Collision anymore. And I feel like this would have been a Dynamite spot if Punk was still controlling Collision, because obviously the tension between the Elite and Punk. But I love this. It was great, and it still adds that whole scenario and tension that is going on between everyone there. Young Bucks go to shake FTR's hand to be like, well, here's the respect we were meant to give you, and FTR return the favour of what happened at All In. Don't shake their hands and walk off. But that has been AEW this week. All Out happened. It was an amazing pay-per-view, and if you guys want a separate video, we can talk about it All Out. And also keep the eyes out for this Thursday's podcast, because it will be a great episode. And follow us on all our socials. Let me know what your favourite part of Dynamite and Collision and Rampage was. And let me know if you guys like this format of a video, or if you would like me to just review Dynamite. Thanks anyway. I will see you in the next review.